Well, this is it, ladies and gentlemen, what we've been waiting for months. The first racing action for the Simrad Market No Limit Sprint Car Invitational. Here we are at USA Speedway, SSR Heat Race number 1 on the grid, with Lynn and Janes in row 1, Williams and Hannigan in row 2, Harris and Young in row 3, and Watson on row 4. Richard Obermeyer was a scratch for the race here this afternoon, having a little bit of power steering problems. Here we go, coming to the green. Chris Lynn leads him. And we're off. Lynn out to that early lead, jumps to the top of the track. Pulls a pretty decent lead on the bottom, the rest of the bottom line, but the guys that run up on top are able to keep right on his bumper. We've got Hannigan. Oh, there's Gunnar Harris taking it 3 wide on the exit of 4. He's going to go all the way to second with that move. Slides back up to the middle of the track. Ernie Williams got something to say about it, but he can't quite make it stick. We got a little bit of calamity on the backstretch. Holy cow. Jack Young takes the brunt of that. He keeps her moving, though. Zach Janes up on the top of the speedway, but Gunnar Harris trying to reel in Chris Lynn now. Top of the speedway seems to be the fastest place to be. The only passing move seems to be on that slider line. There's Gunnar trying to make that slider move to gain some ground on Lynn, but he can't quite do it. He's got to build the momentum back on the top as Hannigan tries the short slider. Again, he's trying to figure out how can we get a little bit of speed on the exit of the corner. Harris goes down to the bottom, slides all the way back up to the cushion. Lynn cuts back down underneath her. Oh, Harris and Lynn touch. Wheel to wheel. Harris back with the slider. He pulls it off. Lynn's got no ability to cut back down underneath him. 5 laps to go. Gunnar Harris to your race lead. Hannigan pulls second, but Lynn drops back down to the bottom. Lynn's going to run right in behind Hannigan, go back to the top, and Harris and Hannigan run that slider line and start to pull a gap on Chris Lynn. Harris, Hannigan, Lynn, James, Ernie Williams, Doc Watson. That's our running order here. Harris can manage to pull this off. He's going to lock out the dash from this heat, being the fast qualifier out of this race. If he can win, he takes the only dash spot into this race, which means Mason Hannigan is going to start all the way back in 9th no matter what happens. Hannigan trying that slider line again, trying to gain some ground on Gunnar Harris. 2 laps to go. Harris pulls out to a commanding lead. Chris Lynn and Zach Janes, woo, getting a little sideways there. Ernie Williams gets collected. Coming around to the white flag now, Gunnar Harris. 4 more corners. He will potentially take the very first NARC No Limit Heat Race victory. Around the backstretch, nothing for Mason to give him in the SSR house car. Gunnar Harris comes around turn number 4. He's going to be your first ever No Limit Heat Race winner with Hannigan, Lynn, James, Watson, and a damaged Young following up in 6th. Here we are with Heat Race number 2 presented by School of Sim Racing. On the front row, Zach Miller and Vinny Sansone. Row 2, Colby Araki and Kenny Hoffman. Row 3, Connor Dudek and Brendan Howell. And row 4, Scott Thomas. Heat race number 2, rolling through turn number 3. Miller's going to lead him to the green. And we're off. Miller's going to take an early lead going right up to the cushion, just like we saw in the last heat race. Araki really making that bottom work. He makes some good moves, gets right beside Sansone. Going into 4, he's going to try even maybe for the lead. He's got that thing hooked up down there, and I think Miller's got something to look out for here. Araki back down to the bottom. Miller on the top. Sansone with the slider line. Araki gets into a little bit of a bobble down there. He loses some spots. That's a risk down there. I think it's fast, but when it's not fast, it's really not fast. Crossing the line, we'll go Miller, Sansone, Araki, Kenny Hoffman. Hoffman, a little bit of wall contact up on the top. He's pushing as hard as he can. Zach Miller, Division II driver, up there leading these Division I guys like he's been a pro on the sim for years. Now Sansone's going to make that slider up to the top. Miller's going to cut down underneath him. Hoffman into the wall again a little bit. Miller and Sansone both slide, but Miller still gets back to the front. Zach Miller going to come around to lead this lap. Sansone's going to slide him again. Araki now working the middle of the track. He's starting to make a little bit of headway. Throw a blanket over the top 5. Any of them can win this thing at this point. You've got Zach Miller still leading. We're 3 wide coming off of turn number 4 for the lead. Sansone with the slider now as he drives it in. He's going to pull a pretty big gap here. Sansone, Miller, Hoffman, Dudek, Rocky all the way back to 5th. Now he's up to the top of the speedway trying something different. Now we're 3 wide again for 4th. Sansone, a NART champion. He's holding him off like he's been doing this for years, and he has. Hoffman goes down to the bottom of the track, slides up. Sansone slides to protect. Oh, a little bit of contact for Miller. Miller gets shuffled all the way back to 5th. He may have a little bit of damage. Back up front, Sansone pulling out to that early lead with 3 laps to go. Araki pushing hard into the wall a little bit on the exit of 2. Does Hoffman have anything for Vinny here? Vinny back to that slider line he's been running. Hoffman and Dudek teammates battling it out for that last position in the dash. Coming around to the white flag. The battle seems to be for that last position in the dash. I don't think anybody's got anything for Vinny Sansone right now. He's going to pull out to a commanding lead here. Hoffman goes to the bottom of the track. Vinny there to protect. It's going to be Vinny Sansone, Kenny Hoffman, Connor Dudek, Colby Araki, Scott Thomason, Brendan Howell, and Zach Miller rounding out the top 7 out of this heat race. Here we are, folks. SSR Heat Race number 3 on the grid. Reese Reimers and Jeremy Christensen in row 1. Josh Borowski and Brandon Garment, teammates for SSR Elite in row 2. Chad Griggs and Joseph Grandy in row 3. And Steven Stewart rounding out row 4. 10 laps the distance. The winner in the fastest qualifier transfer. Here we go to the green. Reese Reimers bringing him to the green. And we're off. Christensen a little bit early contact on the wall. That's going to let Reimers get all the way up to the top and get out to a little bit of a lead. Garmin's going to make it work. He's going to get all the way up to 3rd already. Standing on that cushion. He's going to catch up with that lead pack. Now it's a tight battle. Reimers, Christensen, Garmin, Grandy, Griggs, top 5 here. Griggs the fast qualifier. All he has to do to transfer here to get into the dash. Reimers going down to the middle of the speedway. I'm not sure that's the right move. Might be comfortable, but I don't think it's fast. Garmin on the top of the track takes the lead. New leader, number 18. Reimer's now getting freight trained while he's on the bottom of the track. Garmin, Griggs, Grandy all getting around him. Garmin and Griggs now battling it out. If Griggs can make it up to the top, he's going to lock out this dash, make himself the only transfer into the dash. Six laps to go. Griggs down to the bottom of the track. He's going to throw it in on the bottom. Big slider all the way up to the cushion. Garmin cuts back down underneath. Garmin and Griggs side by side down the backstretch. Garmin throws the slider now. Garmin with a great slider. He's going to pull away a little bit. Griggs and Garmin almost make contact. Griggs going to throw it back. A little bit shorter slider that time. Garmin can't quite get underneath him. Griggs, your new leader. Garmin goes back to the cushion, trying to build some momentum, waiting for Griggs to make a mistake. Grandy back there in third, just holding on. 4 to go. Griggs, Garmin, Grandy, Stewart, Borowski, Reimers. Looks a little loose up top there. Can Garmin capitalize? Garmin staying right on him. Garmin driving his pants off right now, trying to get around Griggs. It's the difference between making the dash and not making the dash. It legitimately could be 10 spots on the grid if Garmin can pass Griggs. Garmin continuing to stay on the tail tank. Grandy can't make any ground up on them. Stewart back there. That's your top 4. Those are the guys transferring to the A main. Griggs comes around to take the white flag. One more lap to go. Garmin throws the slider, trying to gain a little bit of ground, maybe get a little bit of momentum to make a move in turn 4. Is he going to have anything? He goes to the bottom of the track. He's not going to have anything to do, though. Garmin right back on the cushion, now protecting from Grandy. Coming around turn number 4. Chad Griggs wins SSR Heat Race number 3. Followed by Garmin, Grandy, Stewart, Borowski, Reimers. Christensen didn't make the complete race. SSR Heat Race number 4 taking the grid. Joe Canellis and Rick Mayne on row number 1. Trevor Royer and Brent Hagan in row number 2. Josh Whiteman and Larry Moody in row number 3. In a scratch with an engine problem tonight, Justin Sherman would have been rounding out row number 4. SSR Heat Race number 4 taking the grid. Brent Hagan is your hot shoe in this one. If he can win this, he locks out the dash. Canellis takes him to the green, and we're off. Canellis pulls out to an early lead, goes right to the top. Royer down to the bottom, steals the lead out of turn number 2. Canellis gets shuffled out of the top. Just a little bit of contact. Canellis gets absolutely clobbered on the exit of 2 there. And we've got race cars all over. But out front, Trevor Royer taking that commanding lead. Royer, Mayne, Hagan, Moody, and Whiteman with 5 cars remaining on the grid. Canellis taking enough damage to pull off. Royer out to an over a 1.5-second lead. The race right now between Mayne, Hagan, and Moody. At this point, all Hagan's got to do to make the dash is stay on track. He'll be the fastest qualifier from this heat race, so if he transfers into the feature, he'll stay there. Single file racing, everybody taking a little bit easy here. Royer still out to that early lead. Nobody has anything for him. It's going to be hard to catch Royer at this point. That is a big lead. Can anybody make a move here? Second, third, and fourth. Oh, Josh Whiteman with some damage pulling down to the infield. He might be done. That locks your top 4 with Whiteman going down a lap. Being out. Your transfers here are going to be Royer, Mayne, Hagan, and Moody. Hagan guaranteed a spot in the dash. All he's got to do is finish. Hagan and Moody starting to dice it up back there a little bit. Moody going down to the bottom. Can't quite make it stick. Not enough grip in the middle of the corner there. Keeps it down there. Slides back up a little bit in the middle. Grabs that grip on exit. They're side by side now down the front stretch. 4 laps to go. Moody got that bottom side boogie going. He might be able to get around Hagan here. Moody going to throw the slider a little bit. Catches a little bit of grip on exit. Moody takes over the 3rd spot officially here. Now he's going to slide it all the way back up to the middle of the track. Hagan's going to cut down underneath him. They're going to make a race for it after all. 3 laps to go. Moody back down to the bottom. Hagan into the wall a little bit out of turn number 2. White flag is out. 1 more lap to go. Royer remains in a commanding lead out front. That Black Diamond Motorsports car is absolutely on a rail. Trevor Royer is going to come around turn number 4 to win School Sim Racing Heat Race number 4. Rick Main followed in a not-so-close second, followed by Larry Moody and Brent Hagan. Whiteman and Canellis didn't quite make the full distance.